Chapter 3, Lesson 8, and we're on page 201, and that's what we're going to be doing today. And we are still working on division, but this time we're dividing 3 and 4 digit dividends. So this number inside the division house, as some people like to call it, is getting bigger, not the number on the outside. So we're going to use the exact same process. That's the cool thing about it. It's just a couple extra steps, but it's the exact same process. So let's look at the example. It says, in a 4-hour period, 852 people rode to an amusement park ride. I'm going to circle 852 because I think that number is going to be important. If the same number of people rode the ride each hour, how many people rode the ride in the first hour? So we're going to divide the people by the hours, and it was open for 4 hours. So we're going to divide 852 divided by 4. And we're going to go ahead and follow along on this sheet since they've got this one on here. So 852, and then I say divided by 4. And our first step is to divide. So how many times does 4 go into 8? We start with that first digit, always the closest if it works. How many times does 4 go into 8? Well, 2 times. Now my step is to multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. My next step is to subtract. 8 minus 8 is 0. Then I bring down my 5 and I do it all again. How many times does 4 go into 5? Yep, just 1 time. 4 goes into 5 1 time. 1 times 4, we multiply, is 4. Now my next step is to subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. My next step is to bring down. I've got another digit here that I have to bring down. It's a 2. Now we do it all again. How many times does 4 go into 12? 3 times. 3 times 4, we multiply, is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. There's nothing left to bring down, and so my remainder is 0. So how many people rode the first hour? 213. And to check the work of any division problem, you can multiply your answer, 213, you can multiply the quotient by the divisor. 213 times 4, we check our work. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 times 2 is 8. Yes, 213 times 4 is 852. If you need more time to fill that page out, go ahead and fill that out. If not, we're going to turn the page. Okay, we've got another example here. Example 2, find 7,946 divided by 6. So remember 7,946, you put it in the house, and then you divide by 6. And I'm going to actually go to our practice tracker for this because I think it's helpful. So we're going to write that down. 7,946, this one actually has an extra digit, divided by, remember I say that when I draw the box around it, 6. Now if you recall from our work yesterday, we have the Dracula must suck blood daily, or if you liked the vocabulary, you can just remember divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. And then you keep doing it all over again until you run out of digits. So we're going to follow that same pattern again. How many times does 6 go into 7, excuse me? It's 1 time. Now because I'm writing it above the 7 in the box, my multiplication goes below the 7 in the box. 1 times 6 is 6. My next step is to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. Now I'm at bring down. So I bring down this 9 and write it on that line. Now I do it all again. How many times does 6 go into 19? Well, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. That's probably going to be it. Let's check 6 times 4 in our head. 24. No, that's way too big. So we go back to 3. So we write our 3, and this time you notice we're working in circles. So 3 times 6, and it's going to go in the circle, is 18. And now we subtract. 9 minus 8 is 1. 1 minus 1 is nothing. I've got more digits, so I have to bring more down. Now remember, 0, 14 is the same thing as 14. So how many times we're dividing does 6 go into 14? Well, we just did that. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 was 18. That's too big. So we go back to 6 times 2. So I put my 2 up here. Now I multiply 2 times 6, and we're going to go down right below to these little funky square boxes, is 12, and I subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2, 1 minus 1 is nothing, and I still have a number to bring down. So I bring this 6 all the way down to the bottom. You can't see that. Sorry about that. You bring that 6 all the way down to the bottom. Let me make this go up a little bit higher so we can see it all. There we go. So now we're going to check here. How many times does 6 go into 26? Well, we've counted. 6 times 1 is 6, times 2 is 12, times 3 is 18, times 4 is 24, 6 times 5 is 30. 5 is too big, so we're going to do 4. So just ignore your R here and put that 4. Now we're going to put this down below. 4 times 6 is, we line it up right here, 24. Now my step is to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is nothing. I have nothing else to bring down. There's no other numbers there, so I have a remainder of 2. 1,324 with a remainder of 2. And let's go ahead and write this in here. 1,324 with a remainder of 2. And we'll put a big star because we did that work together. Now we can check our work here. So we're going to take the quotient, the answer, 1,324, and we're going to multiply it by the divisor, by the smaller number, times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, carry the 2. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 13, 14. I write my 4 and I carry the 1. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. I carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now, you'll notice that's 7,946, and we only got 7,944. But you can't forget about our remainder. So we add those last 2 at the end. They didn't fit in the collection in any group, but we add them at the end, and we got the correct answer. So 1,324 times 6 gave us 7,944, plus 2 gave us the correct answer. I promise we're going to do a bunch of these. It's going to make more sense the more times we do it, so let's just get to it. I can go ahead and leave my steps up there, divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. It helps me to sing that song from vocabulary in my head. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down for my steps. So let's do guided practice number 1. This is 268 divided by 2. This one's going to fit perfectly. 268 divided by 2. So I start in the same step that I always start. I look to see if 2 can fit into this closest number to divide. How many times does 2 go into 2? Well, exactly once, right? 1 times 2, my next step is multiply, is 2. Next step, subtract. 2 minus 2 is 0. Next step, bring down. I bring down this 6 and I do it all again. How many times does 2 go into 6? Well, we skip count. 2, 4, 6, 3 times. Put my 3 up at the top. Notice I'm working in the circles, so I'm staying nice and neat. 3 times 2 is 6. Now I subtract. 6 minus 6 is another 0. Have another number, so I'm going to bring it down to line it up with any remainder that I had there. So now I have, how many times does 2 go into 8? 2, 4, 6, 8, 4 times. 4 times 2, we multiply, is 8. Subtract, 8 minus 8 is 0. There's nothing else to bring down, and we have a 0, so I don't have a remainder. And my answer here is 134. Feel free to pause it there if you need more time. So on this one, we're going to put 134, and we're going to have a big smiley face, and that means that you did it on this paper along with me. Okay, you guys, let's go on to the next page. the independent practice page. We've got a bunch of division problems, and we're just going to keep working through them, and you guys are going to get the hang of this the more you do it. So this is 595 divided by 5. So once you have it written down, you can move that out of your way. Remember, we just start easy at the beginning. How many times does 5 go into 5? Well, we skip count. We only get 1 in there, right? So it's a 1. Multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. My next step is to subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. Next step, to bring down. Remember, I bring this answer down exactly even with my remainder from the previous problem, from the previous step. Now I do it all again. Divide. How many times does 5 go into 9? Well, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. That's too big. So it's going to be another 1 up here. Now we multiply. 1 times 5 is still 5. Now subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. I've got another digit up here, so I've got to bring it down even with this answer from this step. Do it all again. How many times does 5 go into 45? Well, I know that math fact. I remember it. 5 times 9 is 45. If you don't remember that, you can look at a multiplication chart. You can skip count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 to get your 9. There's lots of things you can do. 9 times 5 multiply is 45. Now I subtract. 45 minus 45 is 0. There's nothing left to bring down, so I'm done and have no remainder. The answer to this problem is 119. 119, and we're going to write that. As I write it in here, I'm going to be really careful to write the 1 over the 5, the 1 over the 9, and the 9 over the 5. I know that's small and it might not seem that important, but when you're doing the problems on these pages, it's going to be important that you keep your work organized and neat. So you're going to want to practice writing that small to put them in the right spot. You could put a star on that one to show me that you completed it on this paper. And then we're going to do number 3. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Keep saying that as you think of it. 625 divided by, remember I like to say it when I'm writing that line, 4. 625 divided by 4. My first step is to divide. So how many times does 4 go into 6? Oh, that's easy. Just once. It can't go twice. Twice would be 8. Multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Bring down. Bring down that 2 even with that answer from that step. And then we go back up to the top and we do it all again. We're back at divide. How many times does 4 go into 22? Let's see. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 is 24. That's too big, so we're going to go 5. Remember, we can't go over when we are doing this part. 5, we multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. Next step is to subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Next step, bring down. I'm bringing down my 5 to make it even with my last answer. I go back up to the top to divide again. How many times does 4 go into 25? Well, we talked about it last time that 4 times 6 was 24. That was too big for this one, but it's going to be a perfect fit just under that one. So we're going to put a 6 there. Now we multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Now we subtract. Next step, 5 minus 4 is 1, and 2 minus 2 is nothing. There's nothing left to bring down. There's nothing left to bring down, so my remainder is 1. So I write that up at the top, remainder 1. I write that up at the top so I know that my work is finished, remainder 1. Now try and get my camera a little bit better to see the whole problem. We're going to write that in our book, and remember, we're going to be very careful to try and write each digit over the one below it. You'll notice that we're dividing by 1 digit, and we're still getting 3-digit answers on each one. So let's see what happens on this next one. This next one is 4 digits long, and remember, we don't have a space here, but you can just add it in and we can make our house bigger and ignore this. We'll make this one another square, okay? So let's go ahead and add this one in. We have 5,815 divided by 5. Oops, I forgot to do my divided by 5. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. We start with divide. We always start with divide. So we're just going to ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 5? Oh, that one's easy. 5 times 1 is 5, so it's a 1. 1 times 5, we multiply and get our 5. Next step is subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. Next step is bring down. We bring down this 8. And then we go back up to the top and we start again at divide. How many times does 5 go into 8? 5 times 1 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. That's too big, so it's just 1 again. So we're going to do our multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. Next step is to subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. Next step, bring down. Bring down that 1. Now we're going to ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 31? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 7 is 35. That's too big. So we've got 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. We multiply. Then we subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. 3 minus 3 is nothing. Bring down. Now they don't have the arrow here, but I want you to go ahead and draw it and leave your 5 even with that 1. So it says 15. We're going to go back up to the top and do our step. How many times does 5 go into 15? 5, 10, 15. Oh, that's just skip counting. So I know I can put a 3 in that top box. Then we multiply 3 times 5. And I write the answer down below the next step. Subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. I have nothing left to bring down. So my answer is this, 1,163. 1,163, and I'll show you down towards the bottom in case you need to pause it here to get that bottom part. Okay, there you go. Let's write that in. We're going to be careful to write it really small, 1,163. Oh, and I forgot to give you your mark for this one to know we did it. Let's do a happy face over there, and we'll do a check mark on number 4 so that I can know you followed along in your book with me. Just erasing my worksheet, and you can do the same. I like to keep my divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down on the side. Remember, you also can do Dracula, must, suck, blood, daily, either one of those to help you remember this order. And you guys, some of you liked dad, mom, sister, brother, and sometimes people add dog at the bottom to do that do it again. Any of those are fine. We're just looking for ways to remember what the steps are. Okay, let's look at number 5. We have 516 divided by 3. Now, yesterday I reminded you which number goes in the house. The first number always goes in the house. So repeat that after me. The first number always goes in the house. It seems easy right now because we know that 516 is bigger than 3, but when we get to dividing decimals, you're going to be tempted to put that second number in the house sometimes. And so the first number, no matter what it looks like, always goes in the house. 516 divided by 3. We're back to 3 digits. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. My first step is to divide. How many times does 3 go into 5? That's right, just once. Now I multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. Now I subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. Now I bring down. Bring down that 1 to make it even with your previous answer. Now we go back up to the top and we do it again. We go back to divide. How many times does 3 go into 21? Some of you guys might recognize that math fact. 3 times 7 is 21, so it's going to be a 7 up top. If you didn't recognize that math fact, you can skip count, you can look at a multiplication table. All of those things to help get you that answer. 7 times 3 we multiply is 21. Now we subtract. 21 minus 21 is 0. Can I finish because I ended on a 0? Nope. You can only finish when you've run out of digits, right? So we still have to bring this 6 down. But we just start over at the top again. We're back to divide. How many times does 3 go into 6? Oh, that's easy. 3, 6. We know that. So that's a 2. We multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. Then I subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. There's nothing left to bring down. No more digits are left. So we're done. And this one does not have a remainder. Our answer on this one is 172. 172. And I can write that right on this line, 172, and let's put another star. Let's put another star there. Nice work, you guys. We have just a few more. Just a few more, and then we'll be done with this day, and you guys will have more the next day, but at least you can take a break. I know it's hard work. Your brains are working hard. You're doing a great job. Okay, number 6. We have 6,418. Remember, I've got that extra digit there. Don't worry about it. Divided by 3. 6,418 divided by 3. It doesn't matter how many digits we get here. We're always going to follow the same steps. It could be 20 digits long, and you're just going to have to do this thing 20 times. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 digits. So let's check. I bet we're going to do this 4 times. So we're on time number 1. We're just going to keep track. Divide. How many times does 3 go into 6? That one I know, Mrs. Bodell. It's 2 times 3 is 6. So I know 6 divided by 3 is 2. That's right. Now we multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. Now we subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. Now we bring down the 4. Okay, that was our first time. Now we're going to see, now we're on the second time. How many times does 3 go into 4? Oh, that's easy too. It's just one time, just once. 1 times 3 is 3. We multiply. Now we subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. Now I'm at bring down. Bring down the 1. Okay, we're on our third time. How many times does 3 go into 11? Let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 times 4 is just too big, so 3, 6, 9 is where we want to be. So 3 times 3. I write this up above that digit on the top. See how I brought the 1 down, and I'm writing this on top of that 1. It's in a direct line, and this is why this paper can help you out staying neat and organized with where your digits are going. I brought the 1 down, and that's directly above where I'm putting my 3. Okay, multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract. 11 minus 9 is 2. If you tried to take 9 minus 1, remember you can't do that. You only have 1 here. You can't take 9 away from 1, so you have to borrow. This becomes 11. 11 minus 9, if I count up 10, 11 is 2. Am I done? No, I'm not done. There's another digit, and this one we have to write in our own arrow. We're going to bring down the 8, make it even with the last step. And guess what? We had 4 digits, and we're on our 4th time doing it again. So here we go. How many times does 3 go into 28? Now that's a bigger number, and we can do a lot of things, but let's skip count. Let's skip count. Instead of using my fingers, I'm going to use a tally mark. So I'm going to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Oh, that makes sense because 10 times 3, I have 10 here, 10 times 3 is 30. So sometimes we can look at the number and go to a fact we know. Like I know 10 times 3 is 30. So what's 9 times 3 then? Oh, 27. That's the number I need. I need to fit right under that. So it's going to be a 9 up top. And it's not our remainder. Remember, we're writing right over that. 9 times 3 we multiply is 27. Our next step is to subtract. 28 minus 27 is 1, or 8 minus 7 is 1, 2 minus 2 is 0. There's nothing left to bring down, so 1 is my remainder. So I put remainder of 1 up at the top. 4 digits, 4 times. We had to repeat those steps. 4 digits, 4 times. Let's write that answer out. It's 2,139 with the remainder of 1. You guys are doing good. Awesome job. Now, we've got another 4-digit problem here. So, my guess is we're going to have 4 times that we repeat through our steps. We're going to do it 4 times. This one is 9,345 divided by 7. 9,000, sometimes you have to go back and forth, 345, I'm putting my extra piece there, divided by 7. Okay, we're going to go here, 9,345 divided by 7. We're going to start at the beginning, simple. We're going to ignore the rest of the problem and just pretend it's 7 divided by 9. Or excuse me, 9 divided by 7. We're going to ignore the rest of the problem and start there. We're doing it piece by piece. How many times does 7 go into 9, or 9 divided by 7? It only fits once. Now we multiply. 1 times 7 is 7. And you see I'm still ignoring the rest of the problem. If you want, you can even take a little piece of paper and cover that part up, because you don't need to look at that part right now if it distracts you. Now we're on subtract. 9 minus 7 is 2. Now I'm on bring down, so I'm going to have to move my paper, and I'm going to bring down this digit. Now I can cover this part up because I'm done. I'm not going to use those. But now we're looking at 7 into 23, and my answer is going to go right above the 3. Remember, this arrow is going to be right in line with my answer. It's going to sit right there on top. So 7 goes into 21. Let's see. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 4 is 28. That's too big. So we need the 3. And we put it right on top of that line where that 3 is. 3 times 7, we multiply. It's 21. Now we subtract. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 minus 2 is nothing. Now I'm on bring down. I'm going to scooch it over 1. Bring down my 4. Now this answer is going to be right above that 4. We got to keep it nice and neat. 7 into 24. Oh, that's just the same as where we just were, right? 3 times 7 was 21, and we said 4 times 7 was 28. Still too big, so it's another 3. We multiply. 3 times 7 is 21. We just did that on that last step. Subtract. 4 minus 1 is 3. 2 minus 2 is nothing. Next step, do I have anything to bring down? I do. I have a 5 to bring down. And my answer is going to be right on top. We're ignoring that remainder. My answer is going to be right on top of that 5. How many times does 7 go into 35? 35 divided by 7. Ooh, that's a math fact. It's a 5. 5 times 7, we multiply. 35, subtract, 0. There's nothing left to bring down. That means I have no remainder. And my answer is 1,335. 1,335. Let's get a happy face in the middle, a check mark on the end, and that is where we are going to finish. We're going to be doing these problems on another day for practice, so we're going to finish there. Great job, my friends. Keep up the good work. Don't give up on this. If you have questions, please let me know.